Everyone, from me, Brent Graham of goodforthegame.co.za. It's time for the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. We've got some great international rugby to talk about this weekend, and a top panel to do so. We'll take a look at them in just a second. Let's start at the bottom of the screen. I wasn't sure we'd get him on the show in this international series because he was at Murrayfield, he was at Twickenham. He tells me he's sitting in his office now, Harry. I mean, this is probably the second time this year you've been in your office. You travel around the world so much. Great to have you on the show, mate. I'm sure you had a great trip.
Yes, guys, my goal in life was never to be in an office and to be sitting at a desk as little as possible. So, I've had, I should have been like an 8 or 9 tests this year. And now I'm taking my off season. I'm going to be relaxed and think about what we just saw. I got to say, guys, it's the best post-World Cup season of Springbok rugby I can remember.
Yeah, certainly. I agree with you. Normally, there's a bit of the lull. This time we've been in great form. And talking of great form, Harry, I've got to tell you, the Oracle has been absolutely firing on the betting front. I think the last 2 weeks he's sitting at somewhere like 8 or 9 out of 10. Looking at those skinny arms, he probably needs to hit the gym a little bit. But Oracle, welcome to the show, mate. Great to have you on. You look like someone who's bubbling over with confidence.
Brent, you only have to hit the gym if you're worried about your wife straying. I don't have that issue. I'm okay, thank you. My arms are fine. More importantly, I was about to ask Harry what that was on his left or right-hand side. Looks like a boat. It looks quite cool. But my second question, which is probably more important, is what is the 536 on the other side on the wall?
That's a my marathon. And that's the number I was running with. It was 3 hours and 36 minutes in marathon, 1994, because I'm that old.
Okay, I never did a marathon. I did a half, so the 21.1. I don't know what that is in miles, but I did the half, and I did that when my kid was born in 2003, and I won't attempt it again. It's funny because he went for a run yesterday, and I thought to myself, that's crazy. I was happy. I used to ride a bicycle to the pool, do 2Ks. I used to ride 5Ks to the pool, do a 2K swim, ride 5Ks back, and then when I got home from work in the evening, I said, I don't want to run anymore. So I used to do triathlons, and I didn't enjoy the run. The ride and the swim were my favorite. But yes, I did cruise over the last 2 weeks, and I'm expecting to cruise again this week. So this week looks easier than the last 2 weeks, and that's probably the red flag. So let's see how we go.
Well, all I can say is even an out-of-form Oracle is full of confidence. So an in-form Oracle is surely going to be flying. Well, welcome, mate. Good to screen. Of course, him and Oracle have never been seen in the same room together. We're not sure they're not the same guys. He's come on the show. And Simbo there from Gqeberha, I hope I pronounced that right. He's on as well. Good evening, gents. Well, guys, we've got some great rugby to talk about. And let's start with you, Oracle. This is, of course, Friday night's game. We've got France. And I must admit, just to say, I also had a jolly good weekend as well. My only regret was getting a bit greedy in the box game. And in the newsletter, I went -9.5. But by the time, I'd taken -7.5 earlier in the week. I took 9.5 and I took more 7.5. So that wasn't bad. But France beating New Zealand was a big result for me. It was a tight game, that. We had France here against Argentina, Oracle, -10.5 and a points line of 53.5.
I'm going to take you back to 2007, Brent. So Argentina are playing France in the opening game of the World Cup. And the handicap was around about this number, 10, 12, 14. It could have even been as low as 8 or 9. I really can't remember, but I do remember it being quite low. And I took a bet with a guy called Larry Southwood. He's not with us today anymore. He used to run a restaurant in Durban in the Musgrave area. And I took a bet with him, and I said to him, Argentina win this game. And he said, there's no ways. He did give an adjective to that, which I can't do on this family show, obviously. We are talking about betting, but still, we've got to be worried about those 18-plus people hearing Oracle's ex-Durban language. But anyway, I had a bet with him, and Argentina won the game. And then he came to me a bit later when Argentina had to play against France later in the tournament. And I think it could have been the semi-final. I can't remember, the 2007 World Cup, and they won again. And I won more money from him. This time he owned a restaurant, and I ended up having a couple of free lunches from him. But more importantly, what he didn't get, and what a lot of the public don't get with this particular fixture, is that I don't know these players, the Argentinians. I don't know the French. anyway. But a lot of these Argentinian players, and I'm going to suggest as much as 80, 90% of them, they actually live in France. They live there. This is where they play. They don't play elsewhere. This is not a home game for them, but it's as close as a home game gets. I'm going to tell you, don't bother. As I said last week, and yes, I did win a little bit of money. Sorry, back the plus to cover your on the board stake here. Argentina can win this game. For me, the plus is almost a certainty. France don't beat this Argentina team by more than 10. I'm sorry. Even 12. I know they had 12 and 14 earlier in the week. I'm still a punter at plus 10. It's too much. Argentina will drag them very close. This is a big year for them. We watched them play Ireland and get not just within 3 points what the final result was, but they actually had many opportunities to score. So maybe they had a bit of white line fever at the end of the game. But this team's good enough. They've beaten South Africa. They've beaten New Zealand. They've beaten Australia. They almost beat Ireland. I'm going to tell you, this is as close as a home game gets. This game, they can win. And if they don't, it's by a couple. Plus, big runner. And on the board, Argentina win this game on the board. Massive runner as well. Do not take minus. If you're a minus punter here, I'm telling you, do not have a bet. Either have a bet on the plus or don't have a bet.
Well, Sean coming in, he's saying France looked very good last week, but Reed likes the French. It's an interesting one, this, Harry. I found myself leaning towards the Argentina plus here as well. But they said, Nag, we spoke about it actually on last week. So guys were saying, can Argentina put in 2 performances in a row? And I said, guys, I don't count the Italy game as an Argentina performance. But I do count the Irish game as an Argentina performance. I thought they did excellent to get back into that game last week. And the question is, can they duplicate that performance against France? So very interested to see, Harry, your thoughts on this one.
But before you talk, Harry, tell me how right I am as to how many of these people actually live in France. Because I'm guessing, but I think it's an educated guess. I don't think I'm that far out.
No, that's correct, actually. And the ones that don't live in the UK, so with a lot of they play a lot in France. So the familiarity with conditions is what I think you're talking about is absolutely even. There's not a big home patch advantage here. Second, this is not the same old Argentina as we've been used to seeing for so many years. So yes, there's a bit of up down in them, there's a bit of flakiness, but so it is with the French. So the French just partied like it was 1999 when they beat the All Blacks. They acted like they had won the World Cup back, and so there's a come down from that too. And I'm worried about for the French, could they back it up? They haven't traditionally had 2 or 3 good results in a row either. And then on Argentina, they feel rightly aggrieved, almost robbed by what happened at the Aviva, because not only were there 4 or 5 ruck penalties that could have been called, there was this phantom mystery knock-on at the end that the TV producers never showed. And so sometimes when you feel like you were done hard, done wrong, you come out the next week and you go, now we can do it. We can make this the best season in Argentine rugby ever, because I think that's true. If they were to beat the top, like All Blacks, Springboks, and then go on to beat the French at home. Contepomi is a different kind of coach. He doesn't seem to let them go into ups and downs. They had one bad down game against All Blacks, but for the most part, they've been able to recapture their form. I also like them on the loose forward, and I think the way they're refereeing the rucks in this Autumn Nations series thing is they're allowing a lot of counter ruck, messy rucks, dirty rucks. Springboks have been okay with it. And the French have been okay with it, but I think Argentina is also okay with it. They gave Ireland trouble. The final thing is there's a bit of the French club where I think the French national side is a bit of disarray. I mean, they had Jalibert walk out of camp because he wasn't put on the top. Dupont looks like he's pouting because he isn't giving as much ball. And there's a bit of I think the French could have a meltdown. So I'm going all the way with Argentina on this one. I actually think it's going to be a close match. It'll be decided by, 2 or 3 points either way. And actually, if I was to pull something out of my hat, I would say Argentina takes it.
Okay, so the boys are aligned. Your Oracle, you want to add anything there?
Yes, I just remember as soon as Harry said Contepomi, I remember sitting in the office. We're trading the game live, and if he's watching JP, his name's JP. I can't remember his surname now, but he worked with me. He's one of my traders at the time. And I remember when Argentina scored to get the handicap in one of those games in the 2007 World Cup, I just went ballistic and shouted, "Get in there, son!" and Argentina all the way. And what I mean, I just remember shouting, but contemporaneous and sticking in a few adjectives in there. So, yeah, I remember he was a player at the time in the 2007 World Cup. They came third, obviously, as we know, and that's what got them into this rugby championship. Finally, they started talking about it in 2007. They finally got it in 2011. So, yeah, I'm definitely an Argentina punter here. Plus, the way to go and stick a little bit on the board because they can win this game. And I'm going to say they will win this game.
Right, let me come in with my 2 cents worth. They're leaning towards Argentina. I've just brought up the weather forecast. Yeah, not terribly bad, but looks like there could be a rain about a kickoff and quite high humidity levels. I actually think we're going to get a bit of a scrappy encounter here. I think under 53.5 points could be the way to go on that game, gents. Obviously, be sending the newsletter out tomorrow, so subscribe to that in the box below if you're not there as well. Quite a bit of support for France in the live chat. I must tell you, we got Sean going. He's with France. Dan is with France as well. And Farid, I think, is also with France, expecting them.
Yeah, but are they saying minus or are they saying board here? Because France on the board at, what is it, minus 10, 1 to 5.
Sure
I don't know if you could be calling that.
I think they're calling minus. I mean, you guys are, I think they're calling minus France. I mean, if they call him board France, they're not going to get any prizes for calling that one at the price. David's coming in and saying,
not from me.
Anders could be the player. My Blutterskroon is going against his mentor Oracle. He's going France on the minus.
There we go.
He's on the minus.
I respect the one who calls the minus.
So what we got is we got the 3 panelists saying one thing, and every single other person watching the show is basically saying something else. Anyway, I've got a couple of questions as we go along that I want to ask Harry in particular. And let me start with Harry on this game. Ireland up against Fiji. Harry, minus 19.5, we've got here points out of 53. But before we get into the game, I imagine you've watched the Ireland-Argentina game, and knock-on that was called at the end there wasn't shown at the time, which was quite frustrating. And then subsequently, we've sort of seen the angle, and some guys have got, there's the knock-on, and I agree, there was a knock-on. But there was a lot of other stuff going on in their ruck before the knock-on. What did you make of it? Do you think, in retrospect, right decision made with a knock, or were Argentina a bit unlucky perhaps not to get a penalty there? What do you think?
Well, you've got to be street smart in that situation. If they were playing a knockout match, probably Argentina would have gone for the drop goal earlier on in the process and just got to the draw and then have extra time. Because it was an elimination series where it doesn't really matter that much, they were going for the famous win because then it's cool. They probably were a bit naive because Kalen Doris and company kept infringing on the ruck, knowing that the referee had swallowed his whistle at that point. He didn't want to. He didn't want to do the penalty that would give the win. He was okay with calling up a knock-on. My point on not showing it wasn't that I thought one way or the other. I just thought it was spectacularly bad storytelling by the television producers. Where in what other major sport would the thing, the ball out at Wimbledon or the ball not going in, like you would always show the final thing. You've got about 17 angles. You've got drones. You've got spider cams. You've got ref cam. I mean, it's silly. So it had my point there is it made Argentina feel robbed because of the way it played out. It didn't seem right. It felt like a little bit of home cooking. So that can motivate teams. And just in general, the rucks have been very messy in this whole whatever this thing is, the series. And, Springboks had to recover from that. Jaden Hendrick got beat up. Cam Roygaard came on because Ratton was beaten up. All the teams from the South are having to relate to this very Wild West ruck. And the funny thing is, once we react to it, I think we can play it better because we could be rougher and tougher. But I think it was just kind of a shock to the system where they were letting anything go for a while.
No, fair enough. I think I just couldn't believe that they didn't show it. I mean, to me, that was what absolutely baffled me. And moving on to this game then, Harry, where does that bring us? We got Ireland minus 19.5. You have to think that they've been disappointing. I mean, they obviously lost to New Zealand. They just got up against Argentina. I think a lot of people starting to wonder if maybe we've seen the best of this Irish side. So they'll be determined to come out there and prove a point. And then we've got a Fiji side who, at their best, can give anybody a game. What do you think of this one?
It's funny because the Aviva, where I went there for the All Blacks games, I thought that would be the match of the whole, of the fixture of the whole tournament, kind of. And it was kind of a dud because the crowd never got out of first gear post haka, and whatever they did early, then it was done. And they were kind of, you know, meek and mild like lambs. And people around me said that it's become so expensive to go to the stadium that it's all corporate now. The soul is gone. The second thing is Ireland has adjusted the least well to the no escorts, no guards, no block, because they use those things. They're not a power team. And so they were a high ruck count, and now it's hard to go deep into the ruck. You got to score quicker, face, you know, 1 through 5, not beyond. The other thing is they're reloading with like Peter O'Mahony, Ian Henderson, and Cian Healy from the bench, and Conor Murray. This is like a decade, you know. So there's this feeling in Ireland of unease. They know full well that they could have lost to Argentina, probably should have. All the honest Irish say that. So I think they're looking at Fiji as a let's get back to our old ways, and that's why they named like the best available team. There was no pulling punches. It's not like Rugby or some of the other guys that experiment a little bit. They're putting their best available, and they really need this. So on the one hand, I was thinking Fiji could maybe cause them to slip up or trip them. On the other hand, they look like they're coming loaded for bear here, and so I don't know. Also, Fiji doesn't always have all of its players. They struggle on these tours because they don't have. They have to pay the night of the hotel on the night. They don't have like long contracts and nutritionists. Sometimes players are paying their own room. So it's definitely, this one would be a home court advantage. I don't think I would advise people to bet on this very much because I don't think it's a predictable game. But I'm definitely comfortable with Ireland taking it away. 19.5 points is a lot. Fiji is still a proper team. They're still a top 10 team. They've given people problems before. And on their night, one-on-one matchups, you would take the Fijian guy over the Irish guy every single time. There may be 2 guys in the Irish team that you would say the opposite, but in space, one-on-one. So if Ireland gets too ahead of themselves, they want to score a lot of points, I think that's dangerous. If they play a proper, you know, set piece, kicking game, kick 30 times, they will put Fiji away pretty easily.
Right, a bit of mixed bag in the live chat. I saw Admiral up above went Fiji plus. JJ Bauer coming in Fiji plus as well. Fareed, he fancies, he does say he fancies Ireland, but a lot of guys recommending not a game to get too involved with. Oracle, what do you have for us on this one?
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to say that the no-bet game is still to come. This is not the no-bet game. Harry's wrong here. This is definitely a bet. I just want to tell people that don't know who Harry is. Harry's acclaimed. I'm going to call him acclaimed because he's reached that status with me. Writer on the Raw. I can't remember the exact website URL. Harry, maybe you can point us out. But I've written a couple of articles on there. And, you want to read Harry's stuff. He's very good. Good journalist. And
don't go to the Raw, though, Harry. Are you not there anymore?
Well. No. I'm just giving a bit of intro. It doesn't come on our show that often, Brent. I'm very impressed with him, so I'm going to give him a bit of a thumbs up here.
Thank you, sir.
I've written 22 articles, of which 5 have been printed. So if you do take their offer of write your own article, beware that they will edit them and discard them at their will. But I have had a few go through, so I'm quite impressed. But yes, I'm very impressed with your writing, Harry. And it's a lot of people don't see that part of it, and it's very just to put this in a bit of picture. Is I'm a punter, Brent's a punter. I'm the bookmaker as well, and I've been on both sides of the fence, and I've read people's articles, and I always tell people stay away from those super sport guys that sit there, the ex-players that sit on the TV for New Zealand and Australia as well, not just South Africa, England at the same point. They get these rugby players to talk to you about the game before and give you their predictions, and they're going like, what do you like? Yeah, I think South Africa will win the game. But people don't want to know if South Africa is going to win the game. They want to know how many points they're going to win by. Is it more than 10? Is it less than 10? Is it more than 3? Is it less than 3? And that's the biggest problem. And you're far better at that because you've been on this side as well. So, guys, go read Harry's stuff. I'll tell you in this game, this is 100% about the I'm going to tell you Ireland. I'm not punting Ireland in this series. I was out of it with the first game they played. But I got to tell you, this Fijian team, we've seen them blow hot and cold. And seeing Bo was 100% right. Stay away from this game. But I'm going to say don't stay away from this game if you've done a bit of homework. And quite simply, this is an if or when. This is if Fiji arrive with their best team, I'm going to tell you back to plus. Have a nibble on the board because Ireland are in a bit of trouble at the moment. And I mean a nibble. This is 10% of your handicap bet put Fiji on the board. But if this Fijian team shows up the same as the one that played Spain a couple of weeks ago and that one that played Scotland, don't touch them. Watch the game, have a bit of entertainment. But if this is a strong Fijian team, I'm going to tell you they go close here. And close for me, 10, maybe 12, maybe 9. A little nibble, 10% of your handicap bet on the board. Fiji, can they win the game? Of course they can. They muscle. I mean, we've seen the size of them. I mean, I joke with my kid. He bench presses, I don't know, double-digit X more than me, massive amounts. And he's going, I ain't getting on the field with the Fijians. So if he's anything to go by, and he's a rugby player, these oaks are big. You've seen that. Don't get involved in what time? 4 o'clock. 1600.
Oracle, I'm giving you a yellow card for talking too long here on the Fiji game, Oracle. I'm giving Oracle yellow.
5 hours ago, Brad. 1600.
Okay. Well, let's Oracle. Let's move on to the next game. So we're not all night. But got them. I think just for me, in closing on that game, I'll be looking at points there. But on the night, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but we'll have a look. I don't have points for this game, Oracle. It's a big game as far as South Africans are concerned. Wales minus 25.5 against South Africa. I've seen 26.5 in places. This opened sort of 17.5, quickly moved to 19.5. People expected Rusty to mix things up. They expected him to name a sort of more of a second string team, but he's gone with quite a lot of the big boys. And this handicap is sort of pushed up all week. Wales, of course, coming off a heavy defeat to Australia. I don't have a point sign. If anyone in the live chat has that, guys, please put it on. But Oracle, we got Wales minus. If I said Wales minus 25.5, that is clearly an error. Wales plus 25.5. I'll correct that now. But Oracle, what do you think on this one?
Brent, this is an easy one. At 15, I think, what did you say the other day on Monday morning? I think you said 15 or 17, something like that.
I think I went
can't
19
claim.
with my cap.
Yeah, 19. I can't claim a digit wrong here because there's double digits. It's not going to be 3 digits, but this is a long way off. The South African F team. Right? If you don't know what an F team is, you've got to go to a big school that has quite a few teams. But an F team does exist at school level. And assuming South Africa played an F team, they would beat this handicap. I'm going to tell you, just out of arriving at the same field and playing with the same players, whoever they are, doesn't matter who they are, they still beat this. They'll still put 50 past this team. South Africa will get 50 points in this game. Will Wales get 25? No. They won't get 20. They might get 15 if they're lucky. I'm going to tell you they won't even score a try. This is a minus by default kind of bet. Don't go granny's pension. Don't go all in here. That game's still coming. South Africa's 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th team will beat this Wales team by 25. Easy. This is now when they lose this 12th game, they will have lost 12 games. Mathematically, obviously. Yeah, this is the worst team, and I called it last week, and I think I called it the week before. This is the worst Welsh team in the history of Welsh rugby. 12, and I think this is the last game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brent. They're going into the Six Nations. They're going into the Six Nations. They're likely to lose those 5 games as well. We could be looking in June when they come to the Southern Hemisphere, and I'm not going to pray to anybody here, but whoever they land up with could be Fiji, Tonga, Australia, New Zealand. I know New Zealand's playing France. I know Georgia's coming to us, but whoever they play against, they could go into 20 plus games losing in a row. This is massive. They're not winning a game in the Six Nations, and they're not winning on Saturday. This is race over. This is proper double digits. This is, I'm not going to say 25 plus. This is 30 plus. South Africa will win this game with whatever team they put on the field. Wales is in
Okay, so
huge.
I'm gonna stop you there, Oracle. We got the box of the minors. I must tell you, the boys in the live chat absolutely unanimous at this point. Certainly, no one brave enough. I know we don't have a lot of Welshmen that watch the show, but even the Welsh, I think, would be nervous to call this game on the cap. Harry, what do you think here? 25.5 points. I mean, should we still be thinking the Box are going to win by more than that, or are we getting to the point now where you rather call a no bet?
No, the Box will score more than this and beat them by more than this. Wales going to struggle to score a try. It's not like the Wallabies, who do let in lots of tries, and the Wallabies still got to 50. Box will get more than 50, and Wales will not score 2 or 3 tries against the Box. Wales is in disarray. They're in disarray from a horrific report about abuse at the WRU. They're in a disarray because their coach is talking about dead men walking. None of the assistant coaches are motivated to stay up till midnight and have cool plans, because it doesn't matter. Most of the players are looking for ways to get out, make some money somewhere else. It's the doldrums, and like Oracle says, it's the worst. It is actually historically the worst team that they've ever had for a proud rugby nation. The problem is now, because Rossi went ahead and picked Big Buck team, it's not. There's no release. There's no escape. It's even if the brothers Hendricks struggles at 9 and 10, you've got this Reinach, Pollard, Eben, Arkia. I mean, everyone runs on like the proper bomb squad, but it's even souped up. So I would think it's actually just a formality. It's a bit like the Tyson Paul fight. There's nothing on really. I would say it's going to be stacked, and I just think that's sad actually, because everyone that looks at Wales and says what a great history, and they're really in trouble. Here's the thing, also, there's so much of a difference in caps that's a problem too. Maybe if you thought the Box were putting on some young guys, but it's really not. Hanekom is coming off the bench, and obviously that's an eagerly awaited thing. I think Rossi wants to end Gatlin's career. I think Rossi has never forgiven Warren for his kind of holier than thou, pious choir boy charade, where he was trying to pretend that Rossi was such a bad boy during the Lions team. Warren started it with saying that TMO was cheating, and he also hides behind that. He writes articles almost every month where he relitigates that thing, and I think he's a sour old man and needs to go, farm cherries in New Zealand somewhere.
Right, interesting. If that's Rossi's attitude, then I must say the Welsh are definitely in for a long time. Oracle, final word for you in this game before we move on.
Yeah, so I was telling a guy at work this week, and I said to him, what's funny about this game is Wales are on their biggest losing streak right now. So they're 11 down, 10, 11, I can't remember the number. But if you remember when we were with I forget the coach's name. He's on Super Sport all the time. We won 17 wins. Nick Mallet. So we get to Wales, and the handicap's -6 South Africa, and they lose by 7. Wales, this team, okay, I know it's different players. Obviously, it's 25 years ago. But this is a team that knocked us off that losing streak. The winning streak. We were going for the record of 18 wins in a row, which was equaled by New Zealand and England. But this team that's lost 11 times in a row, and by my count, will be 17 by the time they get to the southern hemisphere in June, is the one that beat us. That's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, I think South African fans would be absolutely shocked if the Welsh did beat us. But I hear you, stranger things have happened in the game as well. But I'm going to go back to Harry to start off on this game. We've had quite a bit of movement in this game, Harry, mainly because people expected New Zealand to feel the sort of a team, perhaps more of a development type of team. Even then, they were 24-point favourites against Italy. We've seen a big move now to Italy plus 30.5. The All Blacks obviously going out there, looking to finish strong. Points line of 63.5. Italy, I must admit, been disappointing in the bits I've seen of them, certainly hammered by Argentina. Harry, what do you think here? 30.5. This All Black team put their heads down and really go for it. You've got to think they can beat us.
Yeah, the rules makers and the law amenders, in their infinite wisdom, have actually made, with all their changes, have actually made it harder for teams like Italy and rewarded a proper power team like the All Blacks are now. Tamaiti Williams, Tyrrell Lomax, they're a big pack now. They are basically playing Powerball. Wallace Atiti, those guys. I think actually it's going to be really brutal. And the one thing, so we're better than the All Blacks now, the Springboks, and clearly the number one team in the world. But the one thing New Zealand does better still is run up a score sometimes. I just have the ability to score quickly and, like put the numbers up to help as punters. So I actually feel more comfortable about this one maybe than any of them because I think Italy has essentially given up, just like Wales. They seem to have taken a big backward step, which is surprising because, I don't know, about a year ago we were talking about Italy's on the up and, they beat Wales and they beat Australia. And now it seems like they just cannot get to the rucks. They don't resource their rucks. They don't clean rucks. And in today's, the way they're interpreting things now, you got to have a good, strong chase team. You've got to counterattack, and you've got to have, speed, assassin killers. And that's what All Blacks have. The only one you can see on the Italian side is sort of a one-man band. That won't do anything. You cannot get around the new All Blacks with one guy. I think the All Blacks can score from everywhere now. Very impressed by Satiti. I know he's one of the World Rugby's breakthrough guys, and that's well earned.
Yeah, I think he's got a good chance of winning that. Two questions. One first of all for Hamster Tube. You said I reminded you of Morkel. Is that one of the Morkel brothers, LB Morkel, or was it Morne Morkel?
You look like Morne Morkel, correct? No.
Morne Morkel.
If you lose 5 kilograms, you look like Morne Morkel. And that's a compliment.
And Harry, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you saw. I was watching the breakdown and the post-match interview with Razor Robertson. It was obviously the big moment in that game came about 5 minutes from the end against France, where they got the penalty and they chose the 3 points, could bull them within one, and then they never got back into France's half. So they never had that opportunity. Twice. Yeah, they did. But the second time, let's call it the final penalty, they at that stage you had to think, are they going to have enough time to get back downfield? And he obviously backed the team to do that. But I don't know if you saw the interview afterwards. I found it quite interesting. And so did the panel on the breakdown there. Razor didn't really back his captain there. He was kind of like, oh, look, and then he kind of said, we'll talk about it, as if to say, like, it was the wrong call. And I thought it was quite interesting. I thought it was a bit of a strange move from the coach. Did you check that interview?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of astounding. Razor turned to his left and he kind of studied Scooter Barrett as if he was like, a strange animal or something. He was like, what are you saying? Here's the thing. These guys been together down in Canterbury at the Crusaders forever. It's impossible for me. It's inconceivable that Scott Barrett wouldn't know what Razor wants to do in that situation. And Scott said, on further reflection, I'll have to reflect on that. He was obviously doing a walk of shame. And I felt like Razor let him do that, grovel. And I thought that was bad form. I thought the coach should have jumped in there and taken the heat. Or whatever it was privately, they could go back and talk about it to two grown men. But I didn't like that he let him suffer. I thought Scott Barrett did a good job of standing up and taking responsibility. Also, it's not that difficult to run on a signal from the touchline. It's like, this is not like 1942 or something. There's a way for someone to talk to someone and tell someone. And I know that every time people want to do a kick, the guy just runs on with the tee. That's the signal.
No, 100%. You'd think there'd be a way to do it. And look, the other thing I'm going to say about the decision is this. If he kicks to the corner and they fail to score a try, then people will say, why didn't you take the 3? You could have worked your way back up field and got it. It was probably a bit close to the end of the game to take the 3. But I was very surprised by the fact that Razor appeared to leave the captain out to sort of dry there a little bit. Dinesh, Dan coming in, Brent is a Barrett brother lookalike. Well, now we started to talk. The Barrett brothers are good-looking lads. Maybe the Morkel brothers are pretty good-looking as well. Rian is saying New Zealand could put 80 on the board this week. And on that note, let's bring the Oracle in. Oracle, the handicap's moving. Is it moving fast enough?
I told people at minus 23, get on. This minus was too low. But more importantly, if you look at the points line here, 30 off 63 gives you 33 at 16.5, 17. Basically, it's Italy points are 17. I'm going to tell you, you can go under that. Italy are not scoring 17 points against this All Black team. I don't care who shows up. The squad that's over there at the moment, this is a decent team. Yes, they lost by 1 last week, and we can argue whether their decisions were right. Taking 3, I thought the second one was the bad decision, and the first one was okay. But yeah, I mean, it's subjective. They had chances to win. They didn't win. They lost by 1. Whatever, doesn't matter. They lost by 1. I got it wrong. The guys that went for France got it right. Did France deserve to win that game? Did New Zealand deserve to win that game? It was a great game. I enjoyed it. I was on the wrong side of it.
The draw would actually have been a fair reflection of that game, in my opinion. You can't often say that in rugby, but I honestly think it was 2 halves. New Zealand dominated the first half, but credit to France for hanging in. And then
but it was a great game, Brent.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
People watching the game, not having a bet, that was a great game of rugby. It really was. I enjoyed the game. A small bet for me. It wasn't a big bet, but I enjoyed the game. I was happy. But I think in this situation, you know, I've been somebody to mention this more than once. This is, if you'd spoken to me before if you'd spoken to me 3 months ago, I would have told you this is Italy's best year. They won 2 games. And I honestly can't remember when last they won 2 games. They haven't finished last, and as everybody knows, they joined the Six Nations in 1999, which is when I entered this bookmaking industry, so it's 25 years now. For 25 years, they played this tournament, and this is like a couple of times they've won 2 games. This is up there with the biggest years of their lives, their careers in this tournament. Yet, a couple of results down the line now, and we're going, but hang on a second, they had a great year. Why are they playing like this? So I can't explain why Italy are as bad as they've been. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you, I'm a minus punter here. And it's very seldom, Brent, it's very seldom I'm a minus 30 punter. Like I don't get involved in these big minuses. But I'm going to tell you this one's enough. And if you want to make more money with this game, go under points on Italy. So it's 63 minus 30. You got 33 divided by 2, 17, 16, 17. I'm going to tell you, you can go under 15 and a half here. Italy will not score more than 15 points here. They won't score more than 14 points. Hell, if you're brave, they won't score more than 10. Those are runners. New Zealand winning this handicap, I think, is a given. They beat it. But if you want to make more money, Italy don't score points here.
Yeah, I must admit, I like that Italy unders play a little bit there, but also for me, probably New Zealand will do enough to beat this handicap. Any further comments on this one, Harry?
Oh, no, I think the Stormers would beat Italy this weekend, so that's all I think.
The Griffins would beat them, Harry.
The Griffins. Right, let's move on to what I think is it is based on the betting. It is the game of the weekend in terms of the betting, and Oracle will bring you in here. Scotland, there was minus 2.5 early in the week, so been a bit of money for the home team here against an Australian side. I was on them. Australia really helped me. I was on them at 5-1 against England. I backed them again last week against Wales. I was overs on their tries as well. Quite a nice bet there as well. So I really liked Aussies. It's a big ask for them to beat Scotland at Murrayfield. The money's coming for the home team, but Oracle, judging by that shake of the head, it's not Oracle money that's moving this line Scotland way.
No, there's 2 problems here. First of all, they got the wrong favourite. Australia, if you're not making Australia favourite in this game, then you do not understand rugby. Australia definitely should be favourites here. Second thing is, the runaway train reminds me of that. There was a movie or a series, I can't remember, going into the biggest state in America, or the one with the most votes in the thing, California. Coming into California, there's obviously a mountain drift, and there's a train that goes down, hits a couple of power lines and gas lines, and there's these big explosions. Sorry, this is it. Australia. Runaway train. Australia have been a runaway train since they arrived off the plane. I don't know. Maybe they went Kenya Airways or Ethiopian Airways. Who knows? Somebody brought them there, gave them that magic juice. They got over that, Southern Hemisphere competition Rugby Championship where they were absolute rubbish. They performed well against New Zealand and obviously won that game very luckily. I say luckily, I did watch it against Argentina. But somebody said something to somebody, or somebody's put something in somebody's drink. But Australia, you want to get on the train. They are winning. You want to get on winning trains. They'll eventually stop winning. Don't worry, they're not going to stop soon. But they're currently winning. Australia will win this game, and they'll win it comfortably. This is double digits for me. This is 12, 15, 20. Australia win this game. Take whatever minus you like here. Australia win this game. They have the wrong favorite. And if this is your last game on the weekend, take your multiple into Australia. And if you're really scared, do a little bit of cover bet when Australia 14-0 up, 10, 12 minutes. Australia win this game and they win it comfortably. They got the wrong favorite.
That's confidence from the Oracle there. And I must say, we're talking about putting stuff in people's drink. If Scotland win comfortably, people may ask what was in the Oracle's drink there. Harry, what do you think of this game? I must say, I'm a big jolly Aussie fan and that, but the closer we get going, I actually think Scotland will win this at home, and I'm not sure the handicap.
I smell a bit.
Of a game here.
Yeah,
quite possibly.
I just actually finished and posted my article for the Roar. I'm chasing my 2 millionth view. So thanks, Oracle, for the shout out.
I got 5,000 on my article, and I was happy. If you got 2 million, you did very
why
well.
do I think you didn't write for the Raw anymore? You still write for them then? I must have mixed it up with something. That's what I was.
No, I do. I pod elsewhere, but I pod an 8-9 combo like a rugby. Yeah. But no, I'm writing for the Roar still. And they go, they're paying me, Oracle. So I have to write. Yeah,
well, pay me soon as well.
So when I get my 2 million view, it'll be on this article, which is how does Australia beat Scotland? I just finished writing it, and I got to tell you guys, I thought it was actually quite confusing because the weather is the great equalizer here. If you look at the results between the Wallabies and Scotland go back to 2019 and then go forward, only in Murrayfield. So they score a lot in Australia. But these teams don't score that much. This is an outlier, and Scotland was the one who was the outlier. Most of the time, it comes down to a kick. It's Bernard Foley makes a kick. James O'Connor misses one. Finn Russell makes a kick. It's actually been a squirrely rivalry, and a lot of it's come down to contentious decisions. I mean, famously in 2015 was Craig Jobert ending his career because World Rugby hanging out to dry.
Yeah, that was the semi-final in the World Cup. I remember that.
Yeah, these two teams are weird. They seem to sort of negate each other. So sometimes that they don't necessarily score that many points aggregate. The other thing is it's going to be almost snowing. It's going to be windy and wet, and the temperature is going to hover between 2 and 4, maybe even get to 0. So that's a tough slog for the boys from Brisbane and from Sydney and from down south. You could say that people from Canberra are used to cold weather, but not like right now. And also, that's a Pacific Island team now, Australia. So I think the weather could be a problem. The biggest problem I find for Australia continuing its form and beating them easily would be that the 10, 12, 13 and wings complex with Kinghorn at the back. Finn Russell, Sione Tuipulotu, and Hugh Jones were trouble against the box. They couldn't finish those breaks, but they make the breaks. They will finish those against Australia. So I worry about that. The defensive capabilities of the Wallabies has not been that good. They let Wales score 20 points. They let Georgia score 25 points. They let All Blacks and Springboks score 30 points a game always, and they let in 37 points against England. So Finn Russell has been driving a pretty high-octane offense for a while. That attack's going to score 30 points in good weather. In bad weather, I'm almost thinking about 18, 17, 15, 16, that kind of game.
I'll spend another bit.
Yes, I actually would back Scotland by 2 in this one.
Right, so maybe I know Johannes is saying either team by 1 to 7, which is either team can win the game by 1 to 7. I quite like that bet in games. I actually went for it on the Good for Game preview for France New Zealand last week, although I ended up backing France. So that's a nice one if it's tight. And it's going to be. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting game. 54.5. I'm thinking with the weather not being that good, could possibly be an unders play here. Oracle, you looking restless? Anything you want to add on this one?
No, I'm just amazed that I found a game that no one else has found. Have I watched these Australians incorrectly? I got to say, Brent, I remember the articles, and Harry will probably back me up here over the years of, when the Southern Hemisphere wins all the games, there'll be a comment about it. And when the Northern Hemisphere wins all the games, there'll be a comment about it. But a game like this, for me, Brent, on Monday morning, before the bookmakers, and you have to admit this week, they must have been hammered in Europe. They must have been hammered. You came up with handicaps before they did. And you had Australia minus, if I remember correctly. I still thought your -2 wasn't enough. I thought this was a -6 or -8. So when I saw yours, I remember I still sent you a voice message. For me, Australia were always going to be minus here. They've got the wrong favourite. If the money has come for Scotland, I'm going to tell you 99% of those euros and pounds are being taken in Europe and in England. South African money hasn't arrived yet. Australian money hasn't arrived yet. New Zealand money hasn't arrived yet. I'm telling you, these oaks have got the wrong favourite. Australia win this game. If you're scared, take them at the 15-10. If you're bold like me, go -9.5 and go and collect your money and go on holiday next week or for 2 weeks and have a big fat, I'm about to swear, turkey on whatever it is you have on Christmas Day. This is the bet of the week. Australia win this game. I wouldn't accept plus Australia. I'm minus Australia here. Sorry, I'm board Australia. Absolute minimum. Australia minus. Pick your minus. It wins. Done. Australia win this game comfortably.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned that. I was about to bring up the handicaps. I did handicap this actually +2.5 Scotland,
yes.
to -2.5 Australia.
Yeah. I remember seeing that and thinking you're too low.
Yeah, but normally when I do the caps, I often, and when I'm different to the bookies, I then look at it and say, am I correct or am the bookies correct? And I actually say here, in retrospect, I think Scotland will start favourites at home. But I hear you. I mean, I was leaning, I've actually moved, as kickoff progresses, I'm leaning more and more towards the Scots here. I just got a feeling also, Australia have had a hard run, and Scotland they've had test matches. They had, they have? Fiji fairly comfortable. Then they obviously had the hard game against the Box last week. Not that tough. So yeah, interesting one. The final word, Orica. I'm not going to let you say more than one sentence.
So they win this weekend. What happens next weekend? It's what they call their home nations Grand Slam or whatever. Next week, boys, I promise you, when they come out on Monday morning, Australia beat Ireland as well. This is race over. They win all 4. And I promise you, if you can go back on Brent's channel here, and you can see what I said in the World Cup. I was all over Fiji. I was against Australia. So whoever it is has fixed this team. Australia win tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry, 2 days' time, Saturday. And I promise you, Australia win next week as well. They'll beat Ireland next week. Sunday, whatever. They'll beat Ireland next week.
Let's move on to the last game. Harry, I just want to ask you something about writing for the Raw and making money. I mean, you write for the Raw and you get paid for it. Now, Oracle submitted 24 articles and only 5 have been published. Would you say that he's got to work on his strike rate if he wants to get paid?
Or is my strike rate pretty good? I want to ask. How bad is my strike rate?
He's a Franz Malherbe, but try scorer of the Raw. Yeah, he's not a Will Jordan. Now listen, Oracle writes really well.
He did advise me that if I did some stats, predominantly stats articles, I'll do better. But yes, when I get to retirement, I will write some more. But I'm interested. Brent's put up a good question here. 5 out of let's round this off. 5 out of 20, so 25%. How often should I say it? Should I say it this way? What is the average strike rate of the amateur, the guy who sends in 100 articles? Is he getting 20% published, or is it lower than that?
Oh, yeah, lower. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So I'm doing quite well at 20%.
You're above average, Oracle. You haven't been told that at school. In fact, you weren't told that at school.
Correct.
Let's get Harry's comment on the last game. England, this handicap has moved out open -32.5. England -35.5. I had a quick look. I couldn't find the team, just the squad before this. Against Japan, who've been hell of a disappointing. A points line of 62.5. Harry, what are we going to do in this final game?
England's been disappointing because they keep losing close matches because they don't close out. They stop scoring in the final. They yank Marcus off for moving around to fullback, and George Ford comes in, stuffs it up. But they've been scoring points. So the good news about this for England is, and they usually score good points against Japan, and Japan's also kind of done. Some of their top players are banged up as well. So the only thing in the back of my head that I wonder about is, but Eddie Jones would love it so much if they can pull a Brighton over England and be his former employer. But I don't think it's enough to just want something. I think you have to be good at it. So, England is ran into some buzzsaws here. Springboks, All Blacks, the Wallabies on one of their, best matches ever. So I still think they can handle Japan. 35.5 points. I'll go with it. I mean, basically, that sounds like 8 tries to 1, or, I think when you look at the recent results from England and Japan, England scored quite a lot of tries. I just wouldn't put much on this. I wouldn't put the house or the car or the bike.
Yeah, possibly look at it. If you do like England in a game like this, might be worth looking at something like England tries overs or something along those lines. It is a 35.5 handicap Oracle. We are getting big here, even though I've got a feeling as much as Jones will want to put one over the English, I think a lot of these English will want to put one over the old coach quite badly here as well. Oracle, hey, what's the guy who wrote the book, Harry? Is it Danny Kerr or something like that? If they had to bring him back out here, it'd be good to watch.
Yeah, spice it up.
Oracle, what's your views on the final game before we get into the best bets?
So I've got a coin which I paid R5 for, Brent. You'll be impressed, at a flea market. It's a yes and no coin. It's got a yes on one side, no on the other. And one of these kind of games, you're gonna go, all right, I got 50 Rand, 10 Rand, 12, whatever your little number is. You flip the coin, it goes yes. I'm gonna have a bet. No, I'm not gonna have a bet. I'm gonna tell you, I flipped the coin 7 times, and I won 6-1 against no bet. I will not have a bet on this game. I have no idea what to do. And I'm going to tell the punters out there, if you get to this game, being one of the last in the weekend, and you've made money, don't watch it. Don't bet on it. Don't watch it. This is the hardest game in the whole weekend to make money. I'm sorry, I got nothing for you unless you flip a yes and no coin and you state a stake value before you even flip the coin. I'm out. I'm not involved in this game. I will say, though, that at some point during the game, there will be a bit of value. And what I've noticed with Japan is they don't start very well. So my only advice to anybody is, if you're going to back Japan, wait till they're properly down in play, and then you can have a bit of a plus bet. But I wouldn't touch this game with anyone's money. Got no idea. At 25, at 35, I didn't know what to do. So I don't know what to do here. No idea. Stay away.
I could see me getting a message from Oracle on Sunday night saying he carried on flipping the coin, and eventually it was 1,035 to 1,034 yes, and he's having a punt.
But I tell you what, if you find a yes/no coin, buy it. It's the best thing you'll ever buy.
That's a good article.
How many times you flip it?
Oh no, I flipped it. I think I'm in the thousands. I'm out of the hundreds. I'm in the thousands. It's a winner. I did for everything. Lunch. Should I have a drink? Should I go here? Should I go there? Oh, no, it's a winner. It's in my wallet. It's in my coin part of my... It's a winner. If you find a yes/no coin, buy it immediately. It's a winner.
Okay, Oracle, I'm going to ask you. I think I know what your best bet is, but just sum it up. Maybe your top 2 picks for the weekend.
Yeah, so absolutely Australia for me. And if you want to take a double, if you have one bet this weekend, Australia, absolutely. If you're going to have a second bet, you can take Argentina. I'm going to tell you the rest of what I've said earlier in the show. South Africa minus, New Zealand minus, Fiji plus, all good. But if you're going to have 1 or 2 bets, take Australia to win here on the board, whatever minus you like. I say more than 10 they win this game, and Argentina will get very close, if not win the game. So if you're going to take a double, Australia to win onto Argentina to win. I don't know what that is. What is that? That's, I don't know. I'm going to go with Rion. Rion will show us what the double's worth, but it's quite a lot. I'm a Thursday, Friday, Saturday punter. I'm not a Monday, Tuesday punter. But Australia on the board onto Argentina on the board. That's the double that will deliver the most. Double plus, good enough. Should win. Expected to win. Australia, if you're having one bet, Australia on the board. Absolutely. That's the one.
Right. Thank you, Oracle. And let's let Harry finish us off for the night. Harry, what are your best fancies of what we've discussed tonight?
Yeah, best bets. I've got a 3-sided coin. I flipped it and I have a maybe on it as well. But
I don't know, maybe.
The worst possible bet would be on Australia, so no one do that. And the two bets are All Blacks and Springboks. And if I split between those two, I actually have more faith in the All Blacks running up a score than the Springboks, because the Boks are better at just making someone else not score. And so sometimes the flex is not as good for them. But I think All Blacks are in quite the mood. They feel like they were, they should have won that game, but they're really playing very well and they're scoring at will. So once you get like a guy like Caleb Clark or Mark Talea or anybody, they just run away. Will Jordan comes down to score tries for fun.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, Will Jordan, the way he has the knack for the try line. Simbo just saying odds and odds. The double Oracle was talking about 9.46, and Jan Esthuizen's weekly treble Argentina plus 10.5. SA total points over 42.5, and New Zealand minus 27.5, and that works out at 11-2. Well, that's it, guys. My best for the week, best bet for the week will be in the newsletter. But my second best bet is Oracle to have a nice, good night's sleep tonight after a couple of glasses of wine. I think he's going to sleep easy. But listen, first of all, to the guys in the live chat, great having you on. There were times where I was really struggling to keep up with all the comments tonight. Oracle, great to have you on, and Harry, always a pleasure as well. When's the next? I've got to ask Harry, when's the next big test match you're going to?
Oh, I'm taking some time off right now. No, I
got a question for him.
Yeah.
When's Harry coming to Cape Town and actually phoning me so we can go and have a glass of wine or a beer?
Hey, definitely in the new year I'm coming over, so we'll see you then.
I got a room for you. Man.
All right, cheers.
Thanks, everyone. I'll end the stream there. We'll see you next week for the Handicap Rugby chat that matters.